everything right, it was you and me.
Hello everyone, my name is Nima and welcome back to my channel, or two if you are new. And for today's video, we are actually on my bed today. This is really weird for me. I usually am sitting like behind the camera where you can't see, and I decided to switch it up and sit on my bed because I wanted more of a laid back like vibe when I film wrap-ups, because wrap-ups are so stressful to me, like having to remember everything and like relay it in a kind of cohesive way. And so I don't know, I just don't want to put that pressure on myself. Having some major performance anxiety and also like imposter syndrome, and I just feel fake whenever I upload a video. So I don't know, my bed is my happy place. I spend like all of my time, like 90% of my time in my bed, and I don't know, that's definitely not healthy and I need to get out of that, but it's just where I feel comfort. So I'm on my bed today. And yeah, so basically today's video is going to be my March wrap up. If you guys are new here, wrap ups are basically what I just talked to you guys about, all the books that I read for the entirety of that month. And it's April 1st today, and I'm very excited to be sitting down and talking to you guys about all the books that I read in March. I read some really good ones. I read lots of books that are for vlogs that are already out, and then also for vlogs that are to come in April. So I probably won't give too much detail on the ones I've already talked about or the ones I'm planning on talking about, just because I don't want to repeat myself. But yeah, that's the plan today. We're gonna go over the 17 books that I read in March, and I'm very excited to talk to you guys about them. The first book that I read in March was Landon and Shay Part 1 by Brittany C. Cherry. This is a kind of enemies to lovers, hate to love romance book. It was so amazing. I cannot believe I put off reading this book for so long. I actually read this because of Bree. She mentioned it in one of her videos. It just sounds so good. So basically it's about Landon and Shay, and they have always kind of hated each other. They kept their distance from each other. They had like similar friend groups, but they for the most part just stayed out of each other's way. And then there's a new guy who joins their school, and he's kind of like a major a-hole, but nobody really sees that except for Landon. And so this new guy, he makes a deal with Landon, like, hey, I bet you can't get Shay to go out with you or fall in love with you or something like that. And Landon doesn't know that Shay is actually hearing this entire conversation. And so she walks in like, I would like to be included in this bet. I bet you, Landon, that you can't fall in love with me. And so they kind of are trying to make each other fall in love with them. But while that's going on, they're developing a really good and strong friendship that's just so amazing. Also, there are trigger warnings for loss of loved one, self-harm, depression, and drug use, like a drug abuse. And yeah, so there's those triggers in there. It's definitely, I expected this to be more of like a goofy read. It was actually really deep and emotional, and I cried a little bit towards the end, but it was really sweet, and it was also a lot of fun. Although there were, you know, tough topics and whatever, it was still lots of fun. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I really need to read part 2. I just haven't gotten to that one yet. So next I read Dark Notes by Pam Godwin. I got this book in December, and I kept putting it on all of my TBRs, and I never got around to it, but I finally did in March, and this ended up being a 4-star read for me. It's basically about this girl, and she's a very talented piano player. She goes to this school where everybody's super rich and everybody's like musical prodigies and going to be famous one day. And it's like a high school, it's like a prestigious high school. And so she's not like that. Her dad passed away when she was younger, and he played piano and he was really good and kind of like semi-famous. And he gave all his money to her to get her into this school. And she has like a poor background. She isn't as wealthy and well off as the other kids at that school and stuff like that. So she has to work like 10 times harder just to be ahead. But even though she's super, super talented and one of the best at the school. And basically her piano coach was just fired, and in come a new piano coach. This book is dark by the title. You can just tell alone. It's very, very dark. He's a new piano coach, and he comes to teach her. He's kind of like semi-famous as well. And they have like a connection right away. She is 17. I forgot to mention that she's 17. So if you don't like age gaps, then steer clear of this. This also has like a dom sub kind of relationship, which was fun. I will say this book did rub me the wrong way. The heroine has gone through a lot, like, you know, she's been sexually assaulted and abused and raped like her entire life. Not her entire life, but a good chunk of it. She kind of opens up to him about all of this. He's just kind of like, well, I just came here to like he doesn't really, the timing was off in this book for sure. Like she would tell him about something and he's like, that's nice, but can we get into it, like, you know? And I don't know, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way because he's supposed to play like her protector, her hero. He saves her, but I don't know, he kind of takes advantage of her during vulnerable times, and she's like talking to him about stuff. So yeah, I think I told you guys the trigger warnings, but if not, let me repeat myself. There's trigger warnings for rape, loss of loved one, sexual assault, drug abuse, and that's it. And death of like animals. I know that can be super sensitive. So there is like a death of animal in here, and it's super dark, so this definitely is not for the faint of heart. Look into it more if you are interested and think it might trigger you. Really enjoyed it. I ended up giving it 4 stars. The next like bunch of books that I read for a specific vlog. So number 1, we have 13 Ways of Looking at a Fat Girl. I read this for my lowest rated books on my TBR. So I'm not going to talk too much about this. Go check out the video if you are interested in my thoughts on 13 Ways of Looking at a Fat Girl. And then also we have the Pisces, same kind of thing. Death in Our Hands by Ottessa Moshfegh, same thing. And then, oh, she's not here. Where is she? Also Topics of Conversation from Miranda Popkey. And then also Catherine House for that video. So yeah, all my thoughts on those are in my lowest rated books vlog. It'll be linked in the cards and then also down below in the description box. And then in between like those books, because I was having like low-key reading slump, so I was picking up other books like throughout those. So I read Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney. This is like, I've been wanting to get into Sally Rooney for a while just because like she is like the pioneer for like millennial fiction. Everybody says that she's like the go-to person for millennial fiction. And so I finally read this and this was really good. There's still a bookmark in there. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. So Conversations with Friends follows Frances and Bobby and they're best friends. They have like a stand-up poetry act together that they perform at different places and bars and clubs and stuff like that. I don't know. And so one night they are outside of the place that they're performing in and this girl wants to take pictures of them. She's kind of like famous a little bit, and so that kind of attracts their attention. They want to get to know her. And so she like invites them back to her house and is like, hey, let's have some wine, talk or whatever. Princess actually starts to have an attraction for this woman's husband. And so because of this, her relationship with Bobby is kind of like fading, and like, I don't know, it makes things super weird because now they're kind of entering like the same world and the same friend group, but end up having a relationship where she's putting her husband in a position, not that she's putting him in it, he's putting himself in it, in a position to cheat on the woman who's like been good to them and stuff like that. Really valued Sally's honest writing. I really love that in books, just like honest, raw writing. I really kind of related to Frances, not that I would ever like help somebody cheat, but like I kind of like related with her inner monologue. I found she said one thing about like, I wish I had a physical book of this. This is a library copy, but she said one thing about like not really like knowing who you are and like not really having a significant identity. Hello, 4. She must be an Enneagram 4. Maybe I should make a video where I like give people Enneagram 4. I don't know. But she's literally an Enneagram 4 for sure. I felt that vibe 1000%. And I don't know, I kind of just really related to her. One thing that really irked me is that when Sally Rooney writes like a conversation, she doesn't put quotation marks. It's literally just like line after line. You can't tell, but it's like, what? Can you see what? And then something else. And like, I don't know, that really irked me while reading it, but it was okay. I liked it. It was 4 stars. I was really like captured into the story and it was a fun time. Just went to go get Topics of Conversation. This is the other book that I got for, this is the other book that I read for that video. So again, go check that out if you are interested in my thoughts. After that, I read The Ravens by Cass Morgan and Danielle Page. This book was so good. This was like maybe my only 5-star book of the month. There might have been another one. Yes, there was. So The Ravens, so good. It's basically about, so the book is described to be like Mean Girls with like witches and like a coven and or like a sorority, and it was so much fun. So basically it follows Vivi and Scarlett. Vivi is kind of like new to campus. She's always wanted to like leave her mom because her mom is just kind of like this toxic energy around her. She doesn't realize that her mom is doing like things to protect her, but she just can't stand her mom. They move around a lot. She's never had like a steady group of friends, so she's kind of always like resented her mom. And so she was super excited to get to college and stuff like that. And so one night she goes to like a, what is it called? Sorority recruiting or something like that. I don't know. Rush. She like rushes accidentally. And so she doesn't realize that she's rushing into a coven of witches. And so they don't just let anybody in. They have like this whole like magical assessment type of thing where if like your sparkler, they give every girl who's there a sparkler, and if their sparkler lights up, they invite them back and they go through like the rounds and stuff, which I thought was so cool. And then it also follows Scarlett. Scarlett has always known she's a witch. Her mom's a witch, her sister, her grandparents, all of that, they're all witches. And so her mom and her sister were actually both president of the sorority, so she's a junior and running to be the president for next year. And so Vivi, she kind of enters the scene and she might ruin things for Scarlett somehow. I don't know. It was so good. I gave this one 5 stars. I really didn't have any complaints with this at all. I thought the pacing was good. I took my time with it and read it like maybe like 30 pages every night, and it was just like an enjoyable time. I really enjoyed this though, and would recommend it if you like witch stuff. I've been like in a witch mood recently, and then I switched over to werewolves, which we will get to. Then I decided to read one of my very first mangas, and that was Living with a Sadistic Beast by Aoyuki. I think that's how you say it. And so I ended up giving this book 2 stars. I, first of all, do not understand how to read manga. Every time I would find a way that works, I'd flip the page and be like, wait, it doesn't make sense if I read it this way. So I don't know, maybe, I don't know, there's something wrong with me, but I just physically could not understand this book. But I was like reading the pictures and stuff, and what was going on was not that great. I should have known just by like the cover and the title that this girl would be sorry if you don't know what that means, sexually assaulted. She would be sexually assaulted every encounter that she had with this guy, and he kind of worms his way into her life, and it's just like a big mess, and I did not enjoy it. I really didn't know that manga was like, you read the first edition and that's like the very like beginning of the book, like maybe 1 or 2 chapters of like a regular book, and then you go on and go on and go on like that. And so I didn't know, so I wasn't expecting it to end that abruptly. I probably won't continue with the series and read the other volumes. It was not that great to me. So then I read The Studying Hours by 𝓶𝓮𝓭𝓲𝓪. I read this for the 48 readathon that I did for Becca's Bookathon. I ended up giving this one 3 stars. I could not stand the hero. Sometimes I liked him, other times I did not. The hero, first of all, the title says it all. He's a pure, like, total douchebag. And so this book was purely chase. It's about this girl who studying in good grades doesn't really come easy to her, so she has to spend like extra time studying in a library. So she goes to a library that she goes to all the time on campus, and this guy is there with his friends, and he's kind of like the head of the hockey team. Everybody knows him. He's big man on campus, and his friends dare him to go get the girl to kiss him. And so he goes up to her all cocky, like, oh, she knows who I am. This will be easy breezy. Turns out that wasn't the case. She had no idea who he was, and she was like, okay, fine, I'll kiss you if you give me like half the money, because his friends were gonna give him $500 if he could get the girl to kiss him. And so they kiss. It's an amazing kiss, and he wants more. And she's like, no, I'm not just gonna be another notch on your bedpost. And yeah, the whole book was purely chase. I found it really annoying. So basically 𝓶𝓮𝓭𝓲𝓪, she like told us about his like backstory and why he's majoring in what he wants to major in. And I'm not going to spoil it, but like the way he's acting towards this girl is just so hypocritical towards me. He's like purely chasing this girl. No means no. There isn't like any like non-consent stuff, but just like something about that didn't sit right with me. Like not this month, like please. Any other month maybe, but not this month. And so I don't know. I was like rubbed the wrong way. And then he explained his backstory, and I was like, this isn't making sense to me. So I ended up giving that one 3 stars. I thought it was pretty boring as well, because the chase just like kept dragging out. I was like, oh, come on, you know? So then also for that vlog, I read After Age Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert, and this is obviously a 5-star read. This was probably like, this is going to be one of my favorite This is going to be one of my favorite books of the entire year. I'm calling it now. I just loved this book. This was also read for that 48-hour readathon, so check out my vlog for full opinions on that. But this follows Eve Brown, and we kind of met Eve Brown through Dani Brown and Chloe Brown, their own books. And so Eve Brown just always seemed like this character who was full of life and so much fun and didn't really give a crap. And so it kind of starts off with a bang. Eve just quit her like last job, and her parents are completely done with her. They're like, you need to get a job, you need to move out, you need to like step away from us. And so she realizes about this self, and she realizes she has these traits, but she doesn't know how to fix them. And so one day she goes on a drive and sees a sign that says like hiring head chef for a bed and breakfast. She walks in, not really prepared, not really having like the right clothes or anything, and for like an interview. And this guy is there, and he's like, oh hell no, we do not want her. He's kind of like a stickler for like rules and wants everything to go smoothly, and this girl just seems like a whole mess, so why would I hire her? But the thing is, he is in like a huge time crunch. He needs a head chef like right away. And so his friend is like, no, we need her. Some things happen, not going to give it away, but some things happen, and it's just hilarious. This is like my brand of rom-com. If I'm going to read a rom-com, it's going to be a book like Actor Age Eve Brown or any other book by 𝓿𝓸𝓬𝓪. It was just so good. I love this series. I'm so sad that this is the final book. I hope she like find some way to like write more like rom-com books like this. I've heard that her other books aren't the best, but I'm still gonna give them a try because I gave every book in the Brown Sister trilogy 5 stars. Every book was so good. I cried during Chloe Brown, I cried during Dani Brown, and I of course cried during Eve Brown. This was just so good. And the smut, oh my gosh, guys, I was not expecting good smut in this, just because, I don't know, look at him. He does not look like he knows what he's doing, but he knows what he's doing and more. Like, I can't explain this to you enough. Like, this book was so good. I can't get over it. It was amazing. I loved it for sure. And then I read Milkfed by Melissa Broder. This one ended up being 4 stars for me, and it was my second Melissa Broder. The first one I read was The Pisces, and then I read obviously Milkfed. Milkfed ended up being really good. It's about this girl. Again, this is also read for my like 48-hour readathon type of vlog. So if you want like more full opinions, check out that vlog. But this book was really good. It follows this girl, and she's always had like body image issues, and also she just has like mommy issues because her mom is what kind of led her to have these body issues. Her mom was always like calling her fat when she was younger and making her feel bad about herself. And so she grew up with all these like eating disorders, and it just wasn't good for her to be around her mom. So her therapist recommends like a 90-day cleanse, no contact with her mom, nothing. And she is reluctant, but she agrees to it. And also, again, she's going through all this stuff with like her eating disorders and all that stuff. And so she meets this girl working at her favorite froyo shop. She goes in one day, and this girl is like, she always asks this girl, please don't fill over like a certain line. And obviously there's trigger warnings for eating disorders, body image issues, all that stuff. And so she tells this girl, like, don't fill over this line, like, please. And each time she does it. And so she's kind of like encaptured by her. She wants to know about her. Also, she calls herself a lapsed Jew. And so this girl, she's Jewish. She's like a bigger girl who like loves herself, and I don't know, she kind of gets like obsessed with her throughout this entire book. This book like just screamed mommy issues. This girl has serious mommy issues and needs help. And yeah, it was just so good though, because she starts to become infatuated with her. They start to form a connection. This girl is inviting her over to her house, and she's feeling like connected to like her Jewish side that she completely like doesn't even pay attention to. And I don't know, it was so good. The end is not satisfying. Unfortunately, none of her books, I mean, the 2 that I've read, they're not satisfying. I kind of find that in millennial fiction, they're just not satisfying endings. But the story was really cool and good. I loved it. Amazing. So, and then I read some books for a video that's coming out in April. Number 1, I think it's going to come out next actually. Number 1, we have Becoming by Michelle Obama. I'm not going to be telling you guys my thoughts on this one. You by Caroline Kepnes. Again, my lips are sealed. And then The Proposal by Jasmine Guillory. So look out for that video if you want to know my opinions on those. I'm not going to tell you guys what it is, but I think I mentioned it before, but I don't feel like repeating myself. And then the final book that I read in March was Wicked Cravings by Suzanne Wright. I actually read the first book in the series. It's like a werewolf shifter romance, which I completely love. I'm definitely 100% a werewolf girl, 1000%. I just love werewolf romances. And so I read the first book. I found it so good. I rated it 5 stars, but I don't know. It's hard for me to like binge a series, so I didn't continue with the second book. But then I read the second book and it was so good. It basically follows the beta of the Phoenix pack, and then also this girl named Jamie, who's kind of like new to the pack, but she already knows these people and stuff. So Jamie, her wolf is, I don't want to say it's latent. Her wolf kind of like is scared to come out, and like she's scared. She wants to protect herself. So Jamie can't like shift. She gets super angry and like she just needs to release that energy by shifting, but she physically can't shift because of something that happened in her past. And so it starts off with like, we have some background knowledge that like Jamie has been like in love with Dante, who's the beta. And Dante kind of like, he liked the affection low-key, but like he was like, no, I definitely don't need that in my life. And she's like, she overhears a conversation between Dante and some other like people in the pack. And he's like, no, I like skinny girls. I like this, I like that. And so she decides to like be like, okay, fine, I'm done with him. And like, she just like doesn't give him the time of day that she used to anymore. Like she completely is playing kind of like hard to get, but like she physically doesn't want to be attached to him anymore. Basically, once he sees that she like has no interest in like pursuing him anymore, he's kind of like, whoa, I don't like that. And so he kind of goes after her and like has this protective rule over her. And she's like, what? I thought you didn't want me, and all this stuff. And so yeah, I really like that. Now that like the roles are reversed, he's kind of like doing all the chasing and like, wait a minute, I don't like you talking to this other guy. I don't like you going out and partying and dancing on all these other people. Obviously, it's a werewolf romance, so it's a little bit more possessive. If you don't like that, then don't pick it up. But I gave that one 5 stars. I didn't think anybody could be as possessive as like an alpha. But like, I need to realize that all werewolves are possessive. Like, that's just their nature. And so, yeah, I was really, really happy and like thrilled to read this book once I found out like what it was about. And it was so good. So that was the last book that I read in March. I really, really, really loved all the books that I read this month besides a select few. Let me know one of your favorite books that you read in March. I'm so curious to know. I'm always taking up some recommendations from you guys. So let me know down below what you read. Also, let me know if you guys like this setup. I kind of like it. I kind of like this more chill vibe. I was only planning on really doing this for wrap-ups, but I don't know. It depends. I have to film the outro on my laptop because my phone kept running out of storage. So, you guys know how it goes. If you like this video, don't forget to leave a big like and a comment down below, and also subscribe. I really like the setup, but I'm curious to know what you guys think of it. Should I sit where I usually sit, like near my shelves, and you can see like my bookshelves, or do you like me sitting on my bed and it being more chill and casual? Let me know down below. I'd love to know your opinions. Also, if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe. The subscribe button is down below, as well as the notification bell. Let me know all the books that you read in March. I'd love to add some new books to my TBR. And yeah, I love you guys, and I will see you on Tuesday. Bye.
If I got one thing right, it was you and me.